tuned in live to Rainier Avenue Radio, your community radio station, as we wait for our host, Tina on Tech, for the Black Trans Movement, her story, A Conversations with Black, the second of 4 for Black History Month, which will be going live at 5:30 p.m. Just awaiting our host, Tina on Tech, in just a second here. So keep it locked right here as we get her on.
Hello, everybody. We are waiting for our guests to log in. I just wanted to say welcome, welcome, welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio's Call to Conscious, a celebration and education of Black History Month. I'm Tina Marie Tyler. I'm the host of Tina on Tech and a longtime Seattle native. All month long on Rainier Avenue Radio, in the month of February, we're going to be showcasing musical performances and dances and race and justice discussions and workshops. Every Friday, you'll have a special treat because we'll host Friday Family Black Film Night, showcasing films by Black filmmakers. We'll also bring you Black celebrations from around the world, including Africa, France, and British Columbia. This comprehensive celebration will also explore the Hartsfield Slave Quilt Collection, the 100-year anniversary of the destruction of the Black Wall Street, and interviews with Seattle Black history makers. And it's all powered by the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Urban League, for supporting Rainier Avenue Radio and community. So my first guest today, we've got some kind of heavy stuff to talk about. And I couldn't imagine having this conversation without my next two guests. Chela Demuir is the founder of Unique Women's Coalition. And Cheyenne Doroshow is also the founder of G.L.I.T.S. They both have not-for-profit organizations that are dedicated to uplifting our Black trans community, and also providing them with legal resources and housing and a bunch of really, really wonderful things. So if we can please put your hands together and welcome them to the show. Hello. Hello, fabulous ladies. How are you?
How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you both?
COVID vaccine kicked my ass.
When did you take it?
Ditto.
Thursday and Saturday, I started to feel funky.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I had to chime in the exact same way.
Really?
I had my second dose yesterday morning, and this morning it just knocked me down.
Oh, wow.
What you see right here in front of you is a miracle. Trust me.
Well, you both look fabulous.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And I appreciate you guys braving through not feeling well, because this is a really, really important conversation we're about to have.
Well, thank you for having us. Definitely. We appreciate the opportunity to share this space.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's start with you, Miss Doroshow. Can we do that?
Yes.
Because I'm loving the glasses.
Thank you, Gucci.
She had the name drop. Okay, so tell us about what is the Black trans movement and why should we care? Why should the community at large care?
Because we're pioneers. We're the women that have changed the world. We have monumentally stepped up in so many ways to change society, but yet we're still being hunted. We're still being murdered. The numbers and stats for girls like me and Chela are staggering when it comes to how society won't let us live. So this movement, Black Trans Lives, this movement is something. Black trans women are doing things that have never been done before.
And one of the things that you've done is you've had a really recent accomplishment there, right there in New York City. Tell me about the project, because it's fabulous.
I've been doing this work for a long time. This didn't just happen. Like, it happened because this was my blood, sweat, and tears to help not only my people, but people in general. And it was unsupported. Thank God society understood my work. And when it came down to this liberation march, a lot of the children, most of our support doesn't come from Black people. Most of our support comes from white people. I would love to see Oprah put up $1 million for Black trans lives, but that's not going to happen. So thank God for the communities that did step up, because they put up $1 million and some change. I took that money and a lot more donations to accomplish my work and my dream to buy buildings.
And not only did you purchase a building recently, but you also purchased it with a goal in mind. Tell us about the goal. What's the importance of purchasing the building?
Leadership, building leaders and getting our people into college and schools and supporting that work. And not just giving them that, linking wonderful houses. When you can link a home designed for them, where they can feel at home, but also support them in education. We have never been supported in these rooms, but here it is, one Black trans woman at a time, changing the world. So that linkage to housing and education, that's how we change the world. When we see more images of us being doctors and lawyers and psychologists, then we've changed the world. When I see a trans judge sitting behind the podium, I'm going to get up and do a praise dance.
That's right. That's right. Amen to that. So Chela, let's talk a little bit about Unique Women's Coalition. Tell us about your organization and the fabulous stuff that you guys do.
Well, oddly enough, I worked for another org in the late 90s. And I was in charge of gathering our community to have conversation, just a supportive group. During the holidays, I realized that this organization, they shut down for the entire week. And so it was near Thanksgiving. And I said to myself, well, I've been developing these relationships and this rapport with this community. And, they feel a sense of safety, a sense of belonging because of this space that we put together. And when I realized the org was going to be closed and we weren't going to have the opportunity to meet regularly like we normally did, I asked a few girlfriends, I said, this is the time that our community needs us the most. And would you help me put together a dinner? We could all cook something and we could pack it up. We could do real card tables and chairs in our trunks. And let's go set up in a place where we know that our community frequents. And I got friends to participate, and we basically served dinner right there on the street. And that was the catapult that sort of said, it made me realize that as Black trans community, we needed our own vehicles. We needed our own way to get our word out, to get our plight out there. And our organization was born from that in 1997, just simply because we wanted to be a voice and to create safe space for people that looked like us. And so here we are 24 years later. We are a brick and mortar, and we just got a building like 3 years ago. And so we are really trying to show up, particularly right now in the pandemic. We are trying to create space where we are trying to check in with our community, from essential needs to a COVID relief fund to helping them with daily meals, hot meals. And so anything that we could do to be there, to be able to comfort, to be able to say, hey, you are family, you are worthy, you are deserving. And that's what we're about. It's about equity.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to just dial back now to 2020, right? I was reading a little bit from the Human Rights Commission and a little of the reporting that happened last year. And there were about 44 transgender or gender non-conforming shootings and violent deaths that occurred. And I'm sure that is underreported on so many levels. What is it about Black trans women that really make people seem to just discard their lives, and make them such targets for violence and the sex trade?
Who want to go first?
How about you?
Okay. We have always, society doesn't respect us. The government doesn't respect us. Mm-hmm. If you put 44 as a number, imagine globally how many trans people were killed. But in those numbers, imagine how many of those Black, and when I'm glad you said gender non-conformant, because they're not killed like Black trans women are being killed.
Absolutely.
So there's a little wordplay the government has been playing on us by throwing all these other genders in. You're forgetting about that Black trans woman that is consistently being murdered. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, so there's now word language that makes it look all inclusive. This is not all inclusive. Okay. This is not hate against them. This is real hate against Black trans women. And it looks different from what's going on in the gender nonconformant world. We have fought a lifetime just to be trans.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Chela, go ahead. I'm sorry, honey.
She's absolutely right, and I think there is just always conversations that could be had. Like, for instance, I want to have more conversation with our cis siblings, particularly who are involved in the church, the first ladies of the church. This is an institution where a lot of the toxic behavior or the toxic treatment comes from. This is where they embed those messages to say, if you are, society feels like if you're a man, then anything that's effeminate, is not good, is not acceptable. So to be a trans person, who owns their identity, that is sort of like the number one no. And that comes from church. There's a lot of messages that says, don't love us, and for those parents of trans people who are really into the quote unquote word, they will choose that word over their own children. And so that becomes an issue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're right. I mean, especially the Black church has had such a prominent role in the Black community and in the way that the Black families, the way we're raised,
Absolutely.
And so it's very, very difficult to be able to say and stand up against that institution that is saying, God is about love, but God is not about loving you, and there's a problem with that.
Then it sends out the message for the men that do love us, because they aren't able to be truthful. They aren't able to live in their truth and be open because of what they feel like their family will look at them or dishonor them. Like, oppression is real.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's dial to 2021, and we have an African-American female as vice president. We have a lot of Black women that are ascending to places of power. Where do you guys see the Black trans movement moving into in 2021? What are the goals that you would like to see this movement accomplish, and then you all individually? Jan, we'll start with you, hon.
Cayenne, like the pepper.
Cayenne, sorry. Cayenne, I'm sorry.
I think Kamala Harris has a lot of work to do. Okay. By using our bodies and our well, I didn't ask to be called trans. I consider myself a lady, and I don't care what anybody else says.
Come on now.
That's a word that white people created, because I didn't need to be transgender. I was okay being me.
Right.
So these and all of these non-conformant words came from white people. We've never been able to give ourselves the names that society has given us. But we have a vice president that is on the outskirts of Black.
Okay.
And I'll be real about that, but also has had problems with Black men. There's a lot to be said when I can see her sit and have a conversation with a caucus of Black trans women, then we'll be ready to do some work. Until then, I'm on the fence.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Ceyenne. Although it is really important for us to have the visibility, and we're great that Kamala Harris is there, but as a community, as a culture, representation matters. And so that's what equity looks like for us, to have our visible bodies and our personalities in these offices. It is important, like Ceyenne and I may not be those women to do government work, but our generations that follow us are equipped to do that. You know, her daughters, my daughters, her sons, my sons, etc. Like, they are able to take our, to take what we've started and take it to the next level. So it isn't always about us doing the work, but we are trying to build equity through legacy. Absolutely. And that's one thing that we are really about, is adding legacy to Black trans culture. I want to personally leave behind more than just the stories of what I went through. I want to leave property. I want to leave substantial, a leg up, and that's the one thing that we haven't been able to do, is have that generational wealth. Right. And we are the generation to help build that.
Right. Well, I could also see too, Ceyenne, with some of the video that I've seen of you in front of crowds of thousands of people, that have come out to support the trans movement and to support what you guys are doing. Tell me what it's like standing in front of all of those people and having so much love there and support the things that you're doing. They
tricked me because I wouldn't have went. If I would have known it was going to be thousands of people, they told me, 200 to 300. So I was okay with that. That's my number. When one of the councilwomen that was running for office said, "Did you see this yet?" I'd sat in the back of the museum. I didn't want to see anything. I just wanted to speak and get out of there. I don't even march. I marched that day.
Wow.
Yeah, which was a big thing for me. I'm old. When I walked out to see the sea of people, I was emotionally taken back. That was the neighborhood I spent my first homeless days. Those park benches in that museum is where I slept when I had no place to go. Fast forward all these years, I'm standing on a podium in front of 15,000 people telling people I love them. I love them and I want them to love me. And that this work is about all of us. It's not about me. It's about every last one of us.
Right. And Chela, what about you? You do a lot of public speaking. You share your story with a lot of folks. Tell me, what kind of feedback have you received? What is it like just kind of bearing your soul to those, around you and being open and honest about your journey?
To be perfectly honest, that's a really new thing for me, to share in a very personal way. I am used to being closed in, but I understand that in the capacity that I am in now, that is important for a community to know exactly what I deal with, and what our team deals with, to bring forth the efforts, the programs that we do have. I just want to be able to have community realize that we could do anything that we want to do. But it feels good when we have a responsive audience, and it's particularly when people want to pour into you after you have shared. And just to a little bit about what Ceyenne said earlier, it isn't really a lot of Black folks that pour into our organization, or me. it's more of our siblings, our Latina siblings and our Caucasian sibling. And that's real. And, but hopefully the more and more that we do this, when they see them in us, hopefully more Black folks will participate and chime in and support.
So Ceyenne, what can we do to help support you? What can we do to help support your organization and your efforts? Because let me tell you, you are a powerhouse, a dynamo. Both of you ladies are. And
I'm looking for professors and teachers and instructors. I'm looking for scholarships. I want kids to have paid scholarships. I want Black trans women to have not a scholarship for 1 year, but 4 or 5. I want to create the doctors and lawyers and judges. And the only way to do that in our community and not have them owe the government the rest of their life, we already gave enough of our lives. Give us free scholarships. Donate to Black trans lives in ways that make sense, in ways that don't make them go out. I heard white people say that they're used to prostitution to become doctors. Well, how many Black women do you know can afford to become doctors from prostitution? But a lot of our medical professionals have become doctors off of sex work. Meanwhile, Black trans women are going to jail for sex work. So it looks different. We need equity. We need financial equity. We need sustainability, and we need housing. That equity should be passed on. It should be legacies of growth.
Absolutely. Chela, go ahead, hon.
No, I totally agree. That's what equity really looks like.
Yeah.
When we have the same supplies or the same resources that, the average person has, and housing is definitely one of them. When you could rest your head at night and be at ease, it allows you to do so much more. But when you are worried about where you're going to sleep, where you're going to eat, then you end up making decisions that may not be so healthy for you.
Right. And there's that duality there, right? I mean, you've got what is public facing for some folks who have not been able to be in a situation where they feel safe, embracing their difference, right? As well as just being able to have the emotional support, whether it's friends or family. If it's not the church, it's got to be somewhere else. But I also see this as being somewhat of a criminal justice issue when you talked about some of the girls that are being arrested for just trying to survive. And I'm just wondering, what are some of those talking points? What does that look like? Ceyenne, just kind of walk us through that. I can't imagine.
We're doing so many different things. We just had the bailout fund for COVID. We just had another bailout for the Super Bowl. These are Black trans women being arrested. These are our sisters being arrested. But I hate to say it, Karen and Becky uptown in a nice part of town doing the same thing we doing, the cops ride right by her. Yeah. So we need to have talks with all of our people. All of every aspect of government needs to know why survival sex work is important to us, because you have kept us out of employment. You have kept us out of housing. You have kept us out of just simple things like eating.
Yeah.
Right.
Survival, we have learned this because we have been forced into this area of survival. We don't want to do it, not most of us. We have to.
Yeah, it's a natural adaptation, to be able to live or have some sort of life. So we're going to survive regardless, and so sex work happens to be one of the ways that that's some of the industry that accepts our family. So we definitely want to decriminalize sex work. We want to decriminalize HIV. There's so much work that we need to do, and the criminal justice system is definitely a place we could start.
We want to decriminalize it, but we don't want to use models like the Nordic model that makes people register. When you put your name on something saying I'm a sex worker, you're not going to be able to leave this country. There's so many different rules to what a Nordic model looks like. We need laws built for Black trans women. We need our model, and we need the language that protects us. They can decriminalize all they want. They can do a walking while trans repeal. But when you are Black and you are trans, you are still subject to go to jail. End of story.
That's right. That's right. So we only have a few more minutes left, and I want to give you ladies an opportunity to give us your best for 2021, the top 2 things maybe that you'd like to accomplish this year, and a way in which our audience can get involved in helping you accomplish that. So plug away.
You go, Chela.
For me, we're just hoping that our organization is able to grow so that we can show up more. We are really about financial equity, and that is important. We want to create more entrepreneurs of our siblings. We just want to make sure that our siblings are able to be lifted and to be able to live in their own truth.
Ceyenne?
Oh, Lord. I am in the process, in meetings, trying to build a health clinic, Black-owned, trans-owned, trans-ran, along with another building on top of it. So we want to buy the space and build up, and it should be ran by us. And if people want to get involved, we love volunteers. They can go to the website, glitsinc.org, and we love donations. Donations help us do this work. It is how we help other people sustain their dreams.
Absolutely. Chela, do you want to give us your website address too, so we have that?
Yes. You can find us at theuwc.org, theuwc.org, and our social media at the UWC official. And you're right, donate, please.
Well, thank you so much, ladies. I really, really appreciate you spending some time with us today. I know that we couldn't dive in to make a huge deep dive, but I appreciate you sharing your story. And we'll make sure that that we place the information on the website so people can find you, to learn more about your story and how that we can all get together as a community and support you. So much love and happiness in 2021. And you both keep up the great, great work.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And now we're getting ready to go to our next show, which I understand is a jazz show. So get ready, put your jazz dance shoes on, because music is coming up next on Rainier Avenue Radio.